Hello, this is Hound4004. Minecraft 1.17, The Caves and Cliffs Part 1 has been released. This is the first part to the Caves and Cliffs update, and I will go over everything that is new in this version. So let's get started. So starting with the first notable change, all the textures of the ores have been updated. This is for blind people to be able to see the different types of ores better. And there is now a deep slate variant of all the ores, in which deep slate we'll get into a bit more later. For iron, gold, and copper which we'll get into more in a second as well, you can mine them with fortune to get more of themselves, and it will give you the raw variant of that ore. You can turn that raw variant into raw blocks of that type of ore, or you can smelt them and get the ingot. Now on to that deep slate I had mentioned earlier. Deep slate is a new stone type found towards the bottom of your world, and any ore that spawns in it will be a deep slate variant. Something I just wanted to mention is that this will probably be the only version where you can find emerald deep slate ore and coal deep slate ore. This deep slate ore, when mined, will drop cobbled deep slate. From there, you can craft all cobbled variants of the stairs, slabs, and walls, and then you can get deep slate bricks, polished deep slate, and then tiled deep slate. And this deep slate will also turn into a chiseled variant as well. Now on to that copper block I had mentioned. It can spawn around with iron and gold, and drowns drop them as well. You can turn it into a copper block and turn it into all sorts of variants. Once you get these variants, they will slowly age over time. To prevent it from this aging stage, you can take some honeycomb and wax your copper. And if you want to unwax your copper, you can always scrape it off. Also, to reduce some copper stages, you can also wax your copper off to make it a nice clean copper type block again. But that now brings us on to the lightning rod. You can craft this new block with 3 copper ingots, and that will get you the lightning rod. This lightning rod will attract any nearby lightning, and when it is struck, it will give a redstone pulse. Also, lightning can clear off the copper blocks as well. And now that brings us on to amethyst geodes, which could be considered a structure that spawns underground. As we'll get into more of the blocks later, you can see there's 2 different types of these purple blocks, and the one with the X through it will slowly grow these amethyst crystals over time. You cannot remove these blocks, and these are the only blocks that can grow these crystals. These are immovable, so if you want amethyst, you have to come and make a farm here where the crystal spawned for yourself. These amethyst crystals have an outer block of smooth basalt. And with this outer layer of smooth basalt, if you go ahead and smelt regular basalt, this will also produce some smooth basalt for you as well. And an inner block before you actually get to the amethyst itself, which is called calcite. So these amethyst crystals have 4 growth stages. It has a small amethyst bud, medium amethyst bud, large amethyst bud, and then an amethyst cluster. You can obtain all these items, but there is a new item called the amethyst shard, which you can only get by breaking the amethyst cluster. You can bring any of these other smaller stages back to the amethyst, and it will continue to grow back into the amethyst cluster. You can mine these crystals, and it will drop quite a few. Now with these amethyst shards, you can craft a few blocks and items, one being tinted glass, if you take a glass and surround it by these brand new crystals. This tinted glass is normal glass, and it's see-through, but it does not let any light through. This will be good for farms. So you can see we're inside, there is no light getting to us, but we can see outside just fine. And now, the one other thing you can currently make with these amethyst clusters is called the spyglass. This also is made with this copper in which we talked about earlier. This spyglass allows you to see things further away much easier. Also, this is an overlay, so you can hide the entire thing but still have the zoom effect with the F1 key. But that now brings us onto a new light source, candles. Candles are a brand new light source and can be crafted with just some honeycomb and some string, and that will get you 1 candle. You can then dye the candles and have all the color variants. Also, these candles work much like sea pickles, where you can place one and then a second one and a third one and a fourth one all in one block space. And you can even put them on a cake. So here are all the candles in their lighted stage. Now time for a brand new stone type again. This is the tough block, and it spawns just like andesite or granite or diorite. This is currently just a decoration block, and it has no other variants or uses. Now, before we get into any brand new biome-specific blocks per se, there has been a few changes to the mineshaft generation. If there is a floating piece in the mineshaft and it is close to a ceiling, it is now connected to chains. And exactly opposite, if it's close to the floor, there can now be oak pillars underneath the mineshaft to hold it up. So now on to dripstone. Dripstone can spawn in some small blobs in your world that will have some drippingness to them. But other ways to currently get it, the mason type villager can sell some dripstone blocks for 1 emerald, and the wandering trader sells this pointed type, pointed dripstone, 2 for 1 emerald. And also from this pointed type, you can turn it into a dripstone block as well. That now brings us to this pointed dripstone type. Naturally, these will slowly drip water, and you can put them from above and below and make them as tall as you want. And if there's a hanging variant and one coming up from the ground, they can connect when they meet in the middle. These dripstones can be knocked off and they will fall to the ground. And another way they can impale you is if you fall upon it, it will hurt you more than regular fall damage. If you have a water source block above a pointed dripstone, it can drip down and slowly fill out a cauldron. And you can now put lava in cauldrons, and you can have an infinite lava source by doing the same thing, but with a lava source block on the top instead. But now that brings us onto some lush blocks. There is a new small drip leaf plant. This can be placed in water or on clay blocks. And upon bone milling it, you can get a big drip leaf. If you stand on a big drip leaf too long, it will slowly tilt down and basically throw you off of it. And currently, the wandering trader will sell you 2 small drip leaf for 1 emerald. There is a new item that can be found in mineshaft chests, and it is glow berries. These are also a vine, so when you place them, they will slowly grow down and have a chance to spawn in berries. You can click these berries to make the berry item pop off, and foxes can do that as well. To get more berries, you can bone meal the vine itself, and upon breaking the vine, it will also drop some berries and grow back. But that now brings us on to moss blocks. You can find moss blocks in shipwreck chests, or the wandering trader will sell them as well. Moss blocks are a new way to make mossy cobblestone, but you can still use vines if you want as well. You can bone meal this moss block. If it's next to stone or dirt, it will actually spread. When it spreads, it can grow grass, or moss carpet, which is just like carpet but it's moss, or azaleas. Azaleas are a new tree or bush type, and there is a flowering variant. And when you bone meal these, they will grow a new tree type. This still has regular oak logs, but you can now have azalea leaves and a flowering variant. And when you grow a non-flowering azalea, it will still come up with the same results. Now when you grow these, it will create 1 block of rooted dirt underneath. However, you can also buy some rooted dirt from wandering traders if you wish as well. When you bone meal these rooted dirts, on the bottom they can grow hanging roots, and these hanging roots are a new decoration block. Also, with this rooted dirt block, if you hoe it, it will give you some hanging roots and turn back into a regular dirt block. And there is a new flower. It is only available in the creative inventory currently, and it is the Spore Blossom and can be placed on the undersides of blocks. That now brings us to a new thing that can just spawn randomly everywhere inside caves, and it is Glow Lichen. It can also be waterlogged, and it is a small light source that can help light up your caves just a slight bit. That now brings us to Powdered Snow. Powdered snow is obtainable if you put a cauldron where it snows. The cauldron will slowly fill up with snow until you can scoop it out with a bucket, and that will get you a bucket of powdered snow, in which you can place down. Powdered snow is like regular snow, but you can actually sink and walk into it, which will start a brand new freeze effect, which will give you frost around your screen and turn your hearts into a new type of blue. You can prevent sinking into them by wearing leather boots, and if you do happen to walk into it, you will no longer freeze by wearing any piece of leather armor. This powdered snow can also be placed by a dispenser, and if you are on fire and you walk into powdered snow, it will set you out of fire, but it will break the powdered snow. If you're on fire and step into a powdered snow cauldron, it will set you out of fire and melt the snow and turn it into a water cauldron. The next new change is rails can now be waterlogged, and they function just the same underwater, although the water, of course, will slow down the minecart a slight bit. And with this, rails no longer break from having water flow through them. And with the other topic of small changes, you no longer have to have grass to be able to make a grass path. You can now till coarse dirt, rooted dirt, regular dirt, and other variants like that. You no longer have to wait for grass to be spread. That now brings us to the mob category. There is a brand new mob, and it is the goat. The goat is a mostly passive mob, and it will randomly ram attack you. You can breed these goats with some wheat. There is also a variant, the screaming goat, which is pretty much like a regular goat, but it makes a whole lot more noise. And you can milk a goat. That now brings us to the axolotl, in which there are 5 variants of. The common one, pink, yellow, a light blue, and a brown. And then here we have a super rare blue axolotl that has a rarer chance of spawning in than the others. These axolotls may be cute, but they're also a predator. They will attack any other sea mob they can get their hands on, including hostile mobs. And you can scoop them up with a bucket to get a bucket of axolotl. These axolotls can also be bred with a bucket of tropical fish. Also, when the axolotls take damage, they will play dead and get a regeneration effect to regenerate their health. And if you help them fight this mob, they can also give you some regeneration as well. Now that brings us to our third and final mob, the glow squid. The glow squid and the axolotl spawn in underground in completely dark areas inside a water, as long as there is a natural spawning stone block 5 blocks underneath that water. The glow squid is the only mob with an actual drop, and it is the glow ink sac. This glow ink sac, when you combine it with an item frame, can create a glow item frame. Just like the glow squid itself, the glow item frame does not actually glow, but makes things look more bright compared to other things. Also, when you take this glow ink and put it on signs, you can now make sign ink glow. You can also dye these to make different types of glowing signs, and to cancel out the glow, just click it with a regular ink sac. And now that brings us to the light block. The light block is a block that you can only get through commands. and it will default to a light texture. You can place this down and it will show, but when you take it out of your hand, it will slowly disappear, kind of like barrier blocks. And these light blocks can be waterlogged. And when you continue to click these light blocks, it will give you a different strength of light block. Here is all the different types of light levels you can get from this light block. But now that brings us to the next new block, the skulk sensor. This can also only be gotten through commands currently, and will have more of a use in 1.18, the second part to the Caves and Cliffs update. This skulk sensor gives noise when you walk around, and it will emit a redstone signal. Now, depending on the noise type that is made, is the strength of the signal you can get out of it. So, for example, turning the page in a book might give a stronger redstone signal than just walking right next to it. Also, you can mute the sound of the skulk sensor to make it more hidden by placing a bucket of water. This will make this skulk sensor make no outer noise. Now onto another item that you can only get through commands, which will have more of a use in 1.18, the bundle. You can see I have a bunch of junk in this chest, which is all taking up one individual inventory slot. But by using this bundle, you can pick up multiple items. So I'm holding all of this, which only is taking up one inventory slot, but it's this many items. This is a good usage for storage. The data tab on the structure block has been removed, but you can now get to it by holding the Alt key while shifting through the modes on this structure block. And now, at the end of your game, the end credits scene, when you hold the spacebar, it will now go faster. And if you hold Control plus the spacebar, it will go super fast through the credit page. Also, under Options and then Accessibility Settings, you can now have a black Mojang loading screen. And now, there is also two new world types. When you create a brand new world and set it to however you want, under More World Options and you go to Single Biome World, you can now get one of two new biomes. You can have the Dripstone Caves and the Lush Caves. I'm going to start by showing you the Lush Cave biome type. These worlds look like this in top, and you can see some azalea trees all over. And when you follow these azalea trees rooted dirt all the way down, you will eventually run into a lush cave. And we go ahead into spectator mode real quick. We can take a look at some of these caves. There is moss and all the new lush blocks all over. Of course, this will be tweaked and added upon in the 1.18 Caves and Cliffs Update Part 2, where the biomes are more officially added. And then we have the Dripstone Caves I had mentioned again earlier. On the top, this is a pretty typical Plains biome world, but we go ahead into spectator mode again and head underground. You can see we have larger dripstone clusters made out of dripstone blocks and just dripstone all around. And next up, holding F3 plus L will start an in-game recording for debug profiling. This will then show things like tick speed, and it'll save it under its proper folder. Also, there is a brand new Minecraft background. Now time for some advancements. There is an advancement for getting in a boat with a goat. It is called Whatever Floats Your Goat. There is an advancement for waxing copper. It is called Wax On. There's an advancement for removing wax from copper, and it is called Wax Off. There's an advancement for catching an axolotl in a bucket, and it is called the cutest predator. And there's an advancement for winning a fight with an axolotl, and it is the healing power of friendship. There's an advancement called Glow and Behold for applying glow ink sac to a sign. And when you walk on top of powdered snow with leather boots, you get light as a rabbit. You can get the advancement Surge Protector when a lightning bolt hits a lightning rod in a village. Now for some spyglass related advancements. When you look at a bird through a telescope, you get, is it a bird? And when you look at a ghast through a telescope, you get, is it a balloon? And when you look at an ender dragon through a spyglass, you get, is it a plane? And that now wraps it up for the advancements. But for now, that is everything in this 1.17 Caves and Cliffs Update Part 1. Of course, this stuff will have more use and functionality when it actually has its own place underground, but the official Minecraft changelog and the Minecraft wiki will be in the description below for reference points, and if you want to read over the many bug fixes in this update or some of the technical news. But for now, this is Hound4004 saying, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give a like to help the video and the channel out. And for now, this is Hound4004 saying, goodbye.